Welcome back to our show. Our third studio guest is Bob Hinton, managing partner at Moss Adams in Tacoma, the Tacoma office. Moss Adams is a large firm. You're the lead guy locally, and we know that you're a part of this program to evaluate the applications. Tell us about that process, Bob.
Well, it's an exciting process. Well, first of all, we're really excited to be involved in this. We've done this for a number of years, and what's exciting about it is just seeing so many businesses that are being, growing and successful. But the evaluation process that you guys have put together at the Business Examiner, I think is really important to understand. First of all, it evaluates revenue growth. So is a company growing its revenues? But more importantly, I think it's evaluating job growth. Mm-hmm. And so those two components are things that we looked at financially. And as you know, we weighted that. So we weighted the revenue growth 60%, and the job growth by 40%, and we came up with a combined index. And using that combined index, we were able to evaluate all of the participants and come up with the winners.
So yours is an accounting firm and a business consulting firm. Your people see, in this case, these applications. You also see other companies. Was there something about this group of applications that stood out this year?
Well, I think for all the years we've been involved in this, there's a diversity. There's lots of different kinds of businesses. And, we look at the numbers and we see, we see where companies are growing maybe a little too fast, or maybe they're growing at the right speed. But one thing they all have in common is when you go to the program and you hear the recipients give their talks, you hear the passion for their companies. And there's a lot of common themes that, support, teamwork, growing jobs, serving clients and customers. That's really rewarding for us to be involved in.
Selecting the right team members. These
Yes.
companies are very
Yes.
proud of their staff members and their workforce. How difficult is it for any company to prepare for and then create and then manage growth? That's a challenge, isn't it?
Sure it is. And I think, it's like football. You outrun your blockers sometimes.
Yeah.
And you get in trouble. Growth is usually, in most of the companies we were looking at, growth is really a byproduct of the right formula. And usually that formula always has the right team of people, the right culture. And it was so fun to be in the audience and hear so many stories where the entrepreneurs were thanking their team members, having them stand up and be acknowledged. And clearly, without the right team of people, you just couldn't have the growth, which ultimately we get to measure.
The measurement requires that the year be finished. That's why this program was looking at the year 2007's financial results, even though the program was in 2008, and here we are at the beginning of a new year. Can you, from your other experience, give us a feeling for what you expect we'll be talking about a year from now? How was 2008 as a business year?
Well, I think it was all over the board. Clearly, we all watch the TV and see the financial news, read the newspapers, and frankly, there's a lot of negativity out there in the press, and clearly some of that's real. But there are a lot of companies out there that have positioned themselves appropriately to deal with some of this adversity. There's a lot of good strategies out there, and I think we're going to see 2008, especially in our region, for certain companies to be a lot stronger than a lot of people anticipate. I think the real challenge is really what we're going to see next year.
In 2009, which is upon us as we speak.
Yes.
Is there a sector or a type of industry that might be less impacted by the challenge today?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Not a good time to be a car dealer.
No, it isn't. And I think if you take a look at the retail automotive sector, and again, you're seeing it not only in the national level with the manufacturers, domestic manufacturers, but you're seeing retail automotive dealers really get hammered. And part of that's, retail sales are down in all sectors. Mm-hmm. And so they've really been hurt. I know that new home construction clearly has been affected. But one thing we have going here in this community is South Sound community and the greater Puget Sound region is we've got strong financial markets. We got strong, employment, and so I think we're very lucky we're not living in other parts of the country.
Well,
right now.
And I think I'm aware of that and grateful for it also. We have a fairly balanced economy. We've got the military bases, which are great engines of economic activity, and they're almost untouched by whatever happens on Wall Street. Mm-hmm. We've got the international trade, which has a great deal of activity going in and out of our country. We've got the local financial sectors you talked about, the local business services sectors. It really is a much more balanced plate than, for example, if we were in Detroit.
Absolutely.
I mean, where
Absolutely.
it's all about pretty much one industry.
Yeah, and I think that we got to be proud of that. And I think part of that is because people want to live here. And when people want to live in a certain area, jobs usually follow.
Yeah. Now, I know that you are an accountant. I'm going to ask you to slip a little bit into the role of an economist. What are you seeing in the year ahead? Will 2009 be down and then back up? Or do you have any wisdom in your crystal ball?
Well, I wish I could say I do. I think a lot of us are poised to prepare for some adversity out there. Clearly we're seeing the government take steps with some liquidity. I think Main Street is waiting to see that trickle down. And clearly, one of the things that I'd like to tie into this thought process is, and echo some of the things the businesses did say at the program, is all of us need to give back
Right.
to our local communities, to our customers. I think it's a time to be innovative. And I think through this adversity, it's going to bring out the best of us, and hopefully we'll see some good things happen.
You gave a pretty good endorsement for the South Sound and basically the state of Washington in terms of as a business environment. Mm-hmm. State government has a real challenge on its hands in seeking to balance a budget. Is there any concern from the taxation side that maybe that's going to come to business to balance that budget?
Well, I think we've got a real interesting set of issues to deal with. These are my own opinions, but frankly, the B&O tax in the state of Washington is a very difficult tax to deal with. For most people, they don't really understand it. I mean, B&O taxes sales,
right.
whether you make money or not.
Right.
So you mentioned the retail automotive sector. So
yeah.
you could have a retail automotive company, dealership, losing money, significant amounts of money, and paying a lot of B&O tax.
Based on sales.
Based on sales. It cannot be passed on to the customer. And unfortunately, when you compare us to other states, for example, the state of Oregon, you would have a corporate income tax that would be significantly less, or they wouldn't pay any.
Right.
So one of the challenges I think we're going to have to look at in this state is how do we balance that?
And we really, as businesses and as residents, citizens of the state, are involved in that process, aren't we? There's
Absolutely.
a legislative session going on. We need to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your participation, Bob, and we thank Moss Adams for your part in the fastest growing companies.
Thank you very much.
To read more about today's guests or their companies, check the internet, www.businessexaminer.com/leadership.
As we close, we're going to be showing the names of the top 10 fastest growing companies in the South Sound on your screen. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again for another installment of the South Sound Business Report.
This has been a production of Clover Park Technical College and CPTC Television. Clover Park Technical College. Redefine education.